that 5 days of tickets is going to be the one you're going to want to choose, Becki, because I'm going to try to win you over here with this argument.
Hey y'all, it's LJ here, owner and founder of Smart Moms Plan Disney and Smart Moms Travel. We are so glad you're here for another episode of the Smart Moms Plan Disney podcast. Now, here's your host, Allie.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Smart Moms Plan Disney podcast. I am your host, Allie, joined today by Becki and Stacy. Hi guys.
Good morning.
Hey, happy to be here.
Me too. A lot of people that know me know that I love a good debate. I love to just air out my point of view, and as I've gotten older, I've been a lot more open to being incorrect in my stance, which any of my close friends probably just like drop dead hearing me say that. But I love airing out my side of a debate. And that is exactly what we're going to do on today's episode. We are going to be examining some of those Disney vacation package upgrades or add-ons, things you may be considering, and sort of pitting them against each other to come up with which ones are worth your money, your time, your experience. But before we do, as we're talking about debates, I went to bed very sad last night because as we're sitting here recording this, my football team, my NFL football team that I love so passionately and follow, they are in a losing streak rut. They're not supposed to be a bad team. And I went to bed so sad about it. And it's just crazy to me how much like sports can rule my emotions. And my mom, who is a fan of a completely different NFL team, a rival to mine, actually sent me a text this morning checking on me, which I thought was very sweet. But it made me start to think like, we are a family divided on sports, especially the NFL and football season can get tense because we root for rivals, like right within our family. Do you all have things like that in your family where it like separates and divides you?
Our family is split so hardcore between night owls and early birds. Sean is asleep by he's going to kill me for saying this, but he's asleep at like 9 p.m. And if I'm asleep before 1 a.m., it's a rare day. And similar, he gets up and he's that person who wakes up early in the morning. He wants to get everything done in the morning. And I could easily sleep till 9:30 or 10, easily. No problem. And we disagree so much about why the other person is wrong. And we just get to the point of being like, okay, your sleep matters too.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. My son is actually dealing with that in his dorm, and they are not in different suites. They share an actual room. So their beds are in the same room, and he has a night owl and he is a morning person, and they're dealing with the same thing. Oh my goodness. Me and a few of my kids, we enjoy watching Survivor and Amazing Race, and we can really get into some of that. But my other family, like my husband and some of the other kids, walk by and they're just rolling their eyes like, oh, this is such a waste of TV time.
Yeah, we don't do a lot of reality TV in our family. We did The Golden Bachelor, but hindsight showed that investment might have been like not the best one to have made, but I don't know. We really liked it. Have you been
I
watching?
actually draw the line there.
Oh no, the Golden Bachelorette, I'm like hardcore crying over watching these 60-plus-year-old people telling their love stories. I am a reality TV person, but I like competitive reality TV. I'm not so much the drama reality TV. Like The Real Housewives is not who I am, but I do love Amazing Race and Survivor and much more The Bachelorette.
So how can you say you enjoy the competitive and not drama, and then you also are a Bachelorette fan? No,
The Bachelor and The Bachelorette are competitive shows, Stacy. People are competing for love.
But oh my gosh, barf.
And it leans heavy into like the romantic heart. Like I am I don't know, hopeless romantic. And so I know that there are produced moments in those kinds of things, but I look at it as it's not much different than me picking up and reading a romance novel in hoping for a happy ending kind of idea. I don't know. I do love The Golden Bachelor.
Yeah, I don't know.
And The Bachelor in Paradise. I don't know why I significantly love that more. I don't ever watch The Bachelor, but The Bachelorette and Bachelor in Paradise, I am definitely here for.
I did not know I was going to be bringing up a debate of my own here with this because I just so disagree. Like, you cannot compare Survivor and Bachelorette series. Like, they're just so different and
Aren't they
awful.
both in like season 1 million or something though?
Yes.
They really are.
I only care about football this time of year, honestly, and right now it's breaking my heart. So I don't know. I gotta pivot somehow, but we're gonna talk today about Disney debates. Okay. And I'm really excited. The way we're going to do this is we're going to look at some things that tend to split families and their ideas of what their vacation will look like and where their investments on their vacation should be. And there are, of course, two sides to every argument. So across these three debates, one of us is going to moderate, while the other two of us are going to plead our case as to why our side is the better option or likely better option for your vacation. Of course, keeping in mind that any of these upgrades or add-ons or topics that we're going to discuss, they don't necessarily have to be either or. And there's probably a good case, as we'll see, to be made for all of them. But I'm excited to dive in here because I hear all the time people saying, well, if I do it this way, I can do this, but if I do it that way, I can do that. And those kind of conversations and debates that you're having in your own head, we're just going to put a voice to them and make it a little bit easier for you to decide as you're building that perfect vacation. So stay tuned for all three, as one of these debates is something that comes up all the time. We are on social media talking about Disney planning. And then we, of course, plan for so many families just as Smart Moms agents in general. And something that people always want to know, MagicBands, Memory Maker, things like that seem really simple and trivial, but actually are a huge impact on your vacation. This episode of the Smart Moms Plan Disney podcast is brought to you by BabyQuip, the #1 baby gear rental service across the US, Canada, and beyond. There is nothing more difficult for my family with 3 young kiddos than when we are traveling. We're just out of rhythm without our things. We just feel out of step and our kids feel off. It can make our vacation feel so much more stressful than it needs to. With a wide range of baby and toddler equipment available, including cribs, strollers, car seats, toys, and more, BabyQuip helps give us some of that normalcy that our kids crave and we need as parents when we are away from home. When they're happy, we're happy. And by using local quality providers that are often moms, dads, and grandparents just like us and you smarties that are listening today, BabyQuip makes sure that you are working with somebody who understands the needs of your family firsthand. If you need it, they have it. All products follow strict cleanliness and safety protocols and are also insured to give you that extra peace of mind that you need to really enjoy your vacation. With convenient delivery to your location, whether it's a home, a hotel, a vacation rental, wherever you're calling, home away from home, they've got you covered. BabyQuip is available in over 1,500 cities, making it accessible. So whether you're heading to Disney World, Disneyland, or another travel destination, BabyQuip will be there for you. With their easy-to-use online platform, you don't have to stress about getting your products. Head to babyquip.com. Use code SMPOD, that's SMPOD, to get $30 off of any order of $150 or more. That's babyquip.com. Pack light, travel happy. All right, debate number 1. Becki, you are moderating, so I'm going to let you introduce this. And I think it's a big one. I think a lot of families decide between these two things. Like, it's an either or situation. Both of these pair perfectly, like with the same number of nights on a trip. And so I'm very excited to talk about it. Becki, you are up.
All right. I feel like I should be sitting at a formal desk with like my note cards of who I'm going to call on and how I'm going to cut you off when you try to cut the other person off. All right, we're going to dive into something that is affecting specifically the park going experience of your Disney vacation. So, Stacy is going to take extra park days being added on, right? So we know you can buy a set number of days. Stacy's going to make a case for why it might be worth adding an extra day to your ticket. Allie, on the other hand, is going to be making a case for why it's worth adding Park Hopper to your ticket. We're going to go ahead and jump in with Stacy first. Stacy, the time is yours.
All right, no pressure here. So we've already said we're looking at the idea of an equal number trip between Allie and I. We're going to be speaking on, let's say we have a 7-day trip, just like our most recent 7-day itinerary episode. And I am going to say that if you have 5 days that you're working with and you're deciding between 4 days and a park hopper or 5 days of tickets, that 5 days of tickets is going to be the one you're going to want to choose, Becki, because I'm going to try to win you over here with this argument. Let's take it easy. Let's think about our feet and how we want to enjoy an easy paced day. We don't have to rush through and see all of a park in one day because we know we're going to have another day where we can come back to that park and not have that park warrior mentality. We're going to be able to go through and enjoy everything we need. We're not going to have to worry about watching the clock and making sure we're hopping at a different time to make sure we're hitting up other things on a schedule. We're also going to consider that there are extended evening hours where we might want to go to a park one day for regular park hours, and then another day we can sleep in and then finish it up with extended evening hours. Having that extra day allows for our scheduling to be less hectic, less transportation during our day. Just go and stay and enjoy.
All right. How about Allie? I don't want you to rebut what she's saying yet. I want you to focus on why the park hopper is the right choice.
Yeah, absolutely. So the park hopper is definitely the way to go when you're going to have 5 days, if we're looking at a 7-day itinerary, like Stacy laid out, because it's going to give you a rest day. And a rest day is something I put extreme value in. I love the Disney resorts, all of them, whether you're staying at a value resort, moderate resort, or deluxe resort, and being able to capitalize on your resort amenities for an entire day. And what that means is like your pool and the pool games and the food that you have there. Maybe you're staying on the Skyliner and you can ride that around for the day. Monorail, you could do a little monorail dessert crawl. Whatever it is, the circumstances of where you're staying, being able to absorb and enjoy your resort on that rest day is so much fun. And it's so important on a Disney vacation to put some value in the resort that you're staying in. And that park hopper allows you the freedom, the flexibility, and the relaxation because the park hopper is your rain plan, right? If you have a rainy day on Magic Kingdom, we've talked about this before, and you're going to miss Happily Ever After, you get to hop back. Or say your family is like, yeah, Animal Kingdom is really not going to be our jam. We don't care about it. We're just going to go for half a day. But then you love it and you can't get enough of it and you really want to go back. Well, guess what? You have a park hopper. So at the end of, your Hollywood Studios morning, you can hop back to Animal Kingdom if you want because you loved it and you didn't realize it. So to me, the park hopper is like your contingency plan. What if this happens? What if we love this more? What if, our daughter who we thought was going to be so scared of Tower of Terror loves it and it's her favorite thing in the world and we want her to ride it again? Well, the park hopper allows you that freedom and that flexibility while also giving you a rest day in between. So you get to experience all the parks. You get to experience all the parks more than once, and you get rest and relaxation in between. So park hopper is definitely the way to go if you are planning an extra park day versus the park hopper.
What do you think about the cost comparison? I know that there isn't a blanket cost. We can say that one's going to cost this much and one's going to cost this much because it's going to be different depending on how many park days you had before you were considering, right? Adding a 9th day onto an 8-day ticket is significantly cheaper than adding a 3rd day to a 2-day ticket, for example. Park hopper has a little bit different strategy to it, but do you think that one of them holds a better value in the upgrade?
I think it would really depend on your vacation. The cost is going to vary. I think it's safe to say that the cost of an extra park day versus the cost of a park hopper on one less day is going to be in the same ballpark, right? It's in the same conversation that makes it make sense to do an either or, to say, okay, do we want a 5th park day or do we want a 4-day hopper? You're going to be in a ballpark that makes sense for your budget, I think, either way. And so I don't look at it so much as a budgeting price thing because I do think they both hold a significant value. I just look at it more of a how do I want to spend my time thing.
Okay. Stacy, do you ever add park hopper to your tickets when you're coming with your family, or do you always go for the one park per day?
Yeah, and this is where the reality of what we're arguing here in our little gimmick of trying to express in sharing our information with our audience here. Yeah, I actually am a big fan of the park hopper, right? So we're really playing this game, trying to build the case for one way or the other. And I think for individual families, the case really is an individual decision, right? We are fans of the park hopper, but I also enjoy having that extra day where you're really not having to just be itineraried from sun up to sundown, right? We want to have a day to do as you please. But the idea of having this extra day at a park, like you mentioned, Becki, sometimes adding that one extra day is just such a small amount that it's worth it, where you just might want to go in for a restaurant. Maybe there is a restaurant you would like to hit, or maybe there's just a show. It's almost like making your rest day where you also have the ability to go into a park, right? So you're still resting, you're still relaxing, you're still taking it easy and not rushing around, but it allows that, what are we going to do with our rest day? Oh, well, we're actually just going to go into the park and sit down in the hub grass and watch a fireworks show, or we're going to go to ride Guardians of the Galaxy just one time because why not? It's a day that we're here at Disney World, right? So that's my argument.
I love
Yeah.
that. I love that perspective of letting those extra days just be, I don't have to be in the park from sunup to sundown. I also love when I'm doing my travel agent work, seeing when I'm building packages for people, it shows us like the cost when we're looking at number of days of tickets we're adding into their package. And sometimes it is so incredibly cheap to add one more day on. And so there could be a hard case that both of these is the right answer, right? Have park hopper to have the flexibility, but have an extra park day, because even on a rest day, it might be worth going and spending 2 or 3 hours in a park if it's only costing you $20-$30 to add that. Think about what else you're going to do that would have cost $20 or $30 somewhere else if you were getting that extra day. I love it. If I had to choose one or the other, though, if I had to be the decider of which of these is the debate.
Well, before you do, I want to just say one more thing too. It's obvious that there's a good argument either direction here, and that this is the right answer either way you go for your family, right? There are some families where the park hopper is the clear winner, and some where adding the park day is the clear winner, which is what I love about this, because this is the internal debate that you're probably having while you plan your vacation, right? And so which one is more right is kind of what we're trying to figure out here. I just had a family yesterday, their dining day is coming up. And so we were talking through some of their dining options. And she's like, well, we really want to have dinner with the princesses, and the park hours aren't released for our dates yet. And so I don't know what to do. And I was like, you have a park hopper. It doesn't matter what the park hours are. It doesn't matter where you'll be when. You can go there anytime you want. So having the hopper gives you flexibility to not stress about where you're going to be for meals, because you can be anywhere for meals. So that's just another thing I think is really important when you're thinking about the park hopper and you're thinking about the flexibility it builds into your vacation.
I couldn't agree more. Getting on vacation is sometimes the hardest part of vacation, is actually scheduling and making it happen. Once you get there, no matter what choice you make, you're going to have a good time if you let it not be so rigid that you have to be here at this time and here at another time. Like, give yourself flexibility. And so if I had to choose an extra park day or park hopper, I'm going to say flexibility wins to let your stress be a little bit lower. So I'm going to give it to park hopper on this particular debate. But again, both are fabulous choices, and talk to your travel agent about which one, or maybe both, make sense for your family.
Yeah, I think that's the key right there. I actually loved what Stacy said. If I'm staying on the monorail and I can go into Magic Kingdom just for the fireworks, that price may be worth it. But I might then be asking my travel agent to say, well, what is it for the hopper for all those days? So it's important to hear both sides of that debate and really figure out what makes most sense for you. But I'm glad I won.
Shocker that Allie would be excited about winning something.
Hey, you got to give it to me because my football team's not winning. Okay.
Pity. Is that what you're asking for? You're asking for a pity win.
Okay, that's going to move us then into our second debate. This is another great one that I think a lot of people are having that internal struggle. And I feel like Stacy's going to moderate this for us. But I feel like, Becki, you and I are both really passionate about the sides we're arguing here. And so this is going to be fun. Go ahead, Stace.
That's right. Okay, so here's what we're looking at here. We've got our budget that we've got a certain amount we're working for, and I want to hear between you two ladies, Should I spend my budget money bumping up my resort option, like taking an upgrade from one class of resorts to another? Or should I use that little extra money to get the dining plan? All right, so we've got Allie is going to argue for the resort upgrade, and Becki is going to argue for the dining plan. And why don't we hear from Becki?
All right. So, dining plan, one word: stress. Stress is something you do not want on your vacation. And let's be honest, every person who's going to Disney is going to eat. So why not have that taken care of ahead of time? Not have to be stressing about how much something costs, not having to stress about how many sodas am I going to get or how much coffee am I going to get. All of that stress can be handled by simply prepaying for your dining using the dining plan. There are two different dining plans: the quick service plan and the full Disney dining plan, which includes table service. And for this purpose, I'm going to lean heavily on making the splurge for the full Disney dining plan that includes table service. Because I tell you, I love Disney dining. I talk about it over and over and over. It was really the big difference maker for me between Disneyland and Disney World. Is there is so much, dare I say, remarkable dining at Disney World. It is just something that once you've been there and you've tried them, you will understand what we mean when we say there is endless possibilities of dining. So the simple idea of getting to dive into what really Disney dining table service looks like, taking a break from the heat in the middle of the day, getting to experience these amazing chefs doing their Disney thing. It's Disney at its finest when you're getting to participate in it. Also, when you're considering the cost, you're going to be paying for food no matter what you do, right? And so you're just prepaying for that food. In comparison, if you're upgrading your resort, you are really having to dig deep into your pockets to pull that upgrade because food is already going to be a cost of it, where a resort upgrade is you're actually adding to the budget and you're seeing that in your package price right up front.
I like it. I like it. Great points. All right, Allie, let's hear from you. How can you explain to me why a resort upgrade could be a great choice for my family?
So to me, Becki started by saying stress, and I love that you started there. Disney resorts, in my opinion, are a great way to temper that stress when you're on vacation. If it becomes my budget can put me deluxe or I can prepay for my food, I'm going deluxe all day long. And here's why. You have to really think to strategize the dining plan, right? Like to really think, how am I going to come out ahead or break even? Because it is, we've talked on our Disney dining plan shows, you can fall behind. So you have to make sure you're wisely using your credits and everything. With a resort, you can't not get your money's worth, right? Like that's impossible. You're getting your money's worth because you're already there. You're in this environment, this amazing atmosphere. Maybe you've got walkability to parks. Maybe you have a better pool where you're going to make core memories with your kiddos on that rest day. And you have the hot tub where you're going to share tips and tricks with other, Disney vacation guests that are there at the same time as you. So you're upgrading your overall experience in your entire vacation. It's not just about the room you sleep in. And sometimes I think our resort gets really misunderstood as just being a room you sleep in. It offers so much more than that. And dare I say, you just go ahead and upgrade to club level. That way, you're still getting a portion of your food paid for. You're probably getting some sort of good view from that club. A lot of the club lounges do have a view, may it be of animals or fireworks or just really pretty Disney landscapes. Like you're getting a nice ambiance and environment with alcohol, snacks, good meal supplements, throughout the day that you can go and visit, rest day, before the parks, after the parks, whatever it is. So there are still ways to incorporate food into your stay. And there's even a club at a moderate resort. So even if you're like, well, resort upgrade is off the table for me because deluxe is not going to happen. Well, you could even look at a moderate resort upgrade from value, add the club. You might be getting just as much value as the dining plan truly, but also getting leveled up amenities and just overall experience, because I am just not a person that believes that a resort is just where you sleep and lay your head. It's just not, even if you're a park warrior.
Oh my goodness, these are excellent points, ladies. All right, so let me ask one little question here. If I am looking at children, I have a lot of children in my my family. And we're trying to make it as easy as possible for them. How could you argue that a family with small children or a large number of children, which of your options would you argue is the most when we're considering kids in this picture?
I'll go first, and I'm going to say the dining plan is the better option for that because the Disney dining plan actually has discounts built in for kids 9 and under, where it you don't see as big of a significant discount for adults, but that I think they say it's like up to 20% discount for kids under 9 when you're talking about the Disney dining plan. And where that really shines is if you're going to be doing like character meals. Character meals are a really expensive addition to your budget if it's not already built in. But most of the Disney character meals are included in your dining plan for a single credit. There are a couple that take two, and definitely talk with your travel agent about strategies around that if you're looking at some of those 2 credit dining plan options to make sure your money's going as far as possible. But I really think, especially with little kids, the savings does start to shine with the Disney dining plan. I also want to add this isn't about kids, but Allie was talking about wanting to have your alcohol. If you were upgraded to the club level, you can go get those drinks and treats and things at the club level. But the dining plans now include alcohol in your costs of your individual meals. So being able to get that if you want to have a beer, if you want to have a cocktail, getting that with your meal rather than having to go back to a club level might be my difference there. I want to get it where I am and not have to go to a certain spot. However, I will also be honest about the situation. Like I say, you are essentially getting unlimited coffee and soda. That has reverse effect on the dining plan. You can only get your soda and coffee in your refillable mug that's part of that dining plan at one location, right? And you have to go to the cafeteria of your resort in order to use that. So that's my piece.
So I love that you specifically asked about kids because when I'm looking at kids and the dining plan, the perk is that savings, right? Becki just drove that home and it is really awesome. Like that is great. But there are other factors to just savings, right? So when I'm thinking about kids and I'm thinking about a vacation with lots of kids, I have 3 myself, a couple of things matter more to me. Number 1, transportation and convenience. So when you're upgrading your resort, you may then get walkability to parks. And I can tell you right now that being able to leave my resort room and walk to a park is a lot better than having to leave my resort, go to a bus stop, fold up my stroller, wait 20 minutes. Well, the bus system is doable, and deluxe resorts also have buses. So I'm not by any means saying you're going to avoid that. If you can get yourself into a position where you are better situated in proximity to parks, maybe 2 out of 4, that's going to be a huge change, game changer for you and your trip with young kiddos. So transportation and proximity to parks with that resort upgrade, big thing to keep in mind. The deluxe after hours, when you stay deluxe and you upgrade your resort, you get extra time in the park where there just is not a lot of people there. There's not a lot of people at deluxe after hours. You can get a lot of attractions done. So then I'm looking at it. My kids are going to wait in line less. My kids are going to be fussing less. We may get to capitalize on a downtime in the middle of the day to enjoy that upgraded pool a little bit more because we know we're going back and we're going to have those 2 to 3 hours at night where we're, going to be there essentially with no one. We're going to walk on Haunted Mansion twice if we want. And so the deluxe after hours is huge if you have kiddos. And for those of you that worry about it being too late, I've been taking my kids to deluxe after hours since they were like 4 years old. And sometimes they would fall asleep in the stroller, but honestly, it's just something we do. It's something that's really special. Those late night hours in the park, my kids, they don't get to stay up that late at home. And so it's just another layer of fun on the trip. I would not be worried about that. Also, balconies. So at my deluxe resort stays, we get to sit out on our balcony and have that sigh of relief at the end of a long day. Whereas, when you're staying at a lower tier resort, maybe value or moderate, you're just kind of back to your room and you're sharing that space and you're on top of each other again after you've been on top of each other all day. And I don't necessarily need a suite even when I'm with my kids. Just that escape out onto the balcony while they're asleep in the bed is enough peace for me to really cap off a really busy, noisy, complicated day, which a lot of Disney days end up being. And so that's really great. And then I just love that you do have the option of those and this of course depends on budget, but those leveled up suites and villas where you could get a full kitchen to cook, a washer and dryer to do laundry, a second bathroom. Goodness, like as my kids are getting older, having two bathrooms has proven to be really important. So I think when you're looking at it from all angles, for kids specifically, the savings on the dining plan is nice, but you can gain so much peace, comfort, relaxation, and amenities when you look at those resort upgrades, because it is more than just a place to lay your head.
I will speak up about resort upgrade too, especially if your resort upgrade is going from a moderate or a value to a deluxe and not necessarily a value to a moderate. Moderate's going to give you a little more room in your individual room. There are benefits. You're going to get water slides going from value to moderate, but going from value or moderate up to a deluxe, goodness gracious, those deluxe after hours, even if you're only there for an hour of it, letting your kids dance in front of the castle with the main street behind you playing the music, letting your kids sit on the hub grass. One of my very best memories is sitting on the hub grass in deluxe after hours with Sean, looking up at the sky, like letting our kids laugh and talk and tell stories next to us. There is nothing like those deluxe magic hours. And it's built into the price of your room. You're not having to buy a Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween ticket in order to get in for those
Yeah.
hours, right? It's built into the price of your room.
You know what I think too is when I think about my resort, I'm always thinking about what added levels of comfort it brings to my vacation. But as you were just describing the deluxe after hours, the parks are chaotic. They just are. No matter what time of year you go, the parks are colorful and vibrant and loud, and there's a lot of people and a lot of smells and lines. You're waiting in line for coffee, you're waiting in line for a ride, you're waiting in line for an autograph. Like the parks are chaotic, and deluxe after hours almost make the parks feel like an escape. If you can get to a Disney park and it feel like an escape because your resort is also leveled up to be an escape of sense, that is how you're doing Disney the best way possible, in my opinion. And that's why I'm so passionate about it not just being a place to lay your head. And for any Smart Moms travel agents listening today, the hidden Mickey will be escape.
I love that. I also wanted to add, you mentioned balconies. I think balconies is something that gets overlooked when people are thinking about, should I upgrade to a deluxe resort? I feel like those balconies are really just even more, one more reason to give yourself that upgrade, because I have countless amounts of time that I've had one-on-one conversations out on the balcony with McKenna, her and I going out and talking about what we did for the day. What do we want to do for tomorrow? Going out there with Sean and my husband and I being out on the balcony and sipping coffee or watching the sunrise or the sunset. Like it just gives you a different view that you're not going to get in another resort. So for that purpose, I think that I can see a hard argument for making that upgrade.
So Stacy, when you're deciding here what you think, I think you should look at it from the perspective of the dining plan. Either one of these upgrades is a great option, right? And it really is trip dependent and family dependent. But from the perspective of the dining plan add-on is about convenience and savings, and the resort upgrade is about experience and comfort, let's say, right? Overall experience. Which one do you feel?
So you both make excellent points, ladies. And I'll be honest, I might have even been swayed a little bit. I kind of think I was going to go one direction at the beginning. And maybe it was because Becki made the argument first, but then I was so easily swayed and convinced by Allie and the idea of comfort and convenience. I think I'm going to go with the resort upgrade as the winner of this debate, ladies. Allie, enjoy the wins here.
Allie, Allie is just the all-around winner of all things Smart Moms Plan Disney podcast. Apparently, we're all like, hell, Allie.
I'm just very convincing. That's all. I do believe it though. And I believe that this is, either way is the right choice. That's the thing. And when I'm talking to families, when I'm doing my Smart Moms travel agent work, I am always saying neither of these are wrong choices. Do we want to capitalize on that savings and use the dining plan as a budgeting tool? Or do we want to level up our experience in all of the ways that we laid out in that argument? And, for me, it's typically about the experience. That's just where I am in life. But if some families, it is more about the budgeting tool.
Yeah, and I think that the resort upgrade is probably the right choice for winning in this particular situation. I think that really what the resort upgrade does is adds extra magic, right? Because the dining plan is a great tool for saving, but you're going to be eating either way. You're not going to get the same level of magic, no matter whether you're value, moderate, or deluxe. Staying on site is going to be greater magic than staying off site, but the deluxe is the cream of the crop when it comes to Disney magic.
Yeah. Okay, this is so fun. To all of our listeners today, if you have yet to subscribe to this very podcast, please take a minute and do so. Subscribing, turning on your automatic downloads, it is the fastest, easiest way to help us as a podcast continue to bring you Disney content, Disney tips and tricks, and just bring more magic to your weekly life. So we really appreciate when you take those steps to do so. If you want to take it a step further and you are a loyal listener and all around smarty, you could leave us a review like RR Center, who recently said, "We have our first Disney trip planned this fall, and I owe all of my Disney knowledge to this fabulous group of ladies. I've listened to every single episode, some of them multiple times. I love the different perspectives they each bring and the reminder to soak in the Disney magic and not overplan. Thank you so much for helping me plan my future magical trip. I look forward to every Tuesday with a new drop. I will definitely be booking with them on my future trips." Thank you so much for that kind review. We put out these episodes with the intention that you will listen to them multiple times, that you will absorb the information and become the Disney expert in your family, the person that's planning the trip and has all the knowledge. We love that. And of course, if you, like RR Center, want to plan your next Disney vacation with a podcast team member, that link can always be found right in the show notes. So thank you so much again for that. Don't forget, we have a Patreon community you can join. Diamond Mine subscribership gets you a guide, a Disney planning companion guide to an episode that we release each month to take your knowledge even one step farther. If you like to read, if you like to absorb knowledge that way, they're so great for your planning. All right, we're going to take another quick break. But before we do, this is not just an ordinary break. We here on the Smart Moms Plan Disney podcast are so excited to introduce a new segment, a short segment. So be sure to listen the whole way through, called You've Got a Friend in Me. We have so many fellow Smart Moms travel agents that have so much good information to share. So each week we are going to be highlighting two friends of the podcast and their online communities where you can find really niched down and targeted helpful information that we just know you're going to love. So as you're scrolling Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, here's a way to add a ton of extra Disney magic through friends of the Smart Moms Plan Disney podcast. Take a listen. Are you a parent planning Disney for school-age kids? We have friends that run an incredible online community on Facebook called just that, Planning Disney for School-Age Kids. They talk about planning with kids in grades K through 12 and strategize planning around school breaks, planning with kids who can keep up all day and all night, those ultimate park warriors, and more. With over 6,000 members and growing, you can join them on Facebook at Planning Disney for School-Age Kids or by clicking the link in today's show notes. Around here, Disney is our therapy, and our friend Jill uses her TikTok at Pixie Dust Therapy to give you a daily dose of Disney. She focuses on planning full itineraries and helps map out locations and times to make your family vacation as magical and blissful as it can be. She knows that as a mom, a planned trip can make all the difference. With tons of experience to share, Jill can make your trip even better without adding any wasted time. Get your daily dose of Disney planning therapy by following her TikTok at Pixie Dust Therapy or by clicking the link in today's show notes. Okay, that is literally so much fun. I think I've told this story on the podcast before. I literally became a Smart Moms travel agent because I filled my social media communities with Disney. Like, I just want to follow and absorb all of the Disney content I can. So I really hope that you smarties take a second and find those communities and put yourselves in them, because there's literally never too much Disney that you can put in your feed. You're scrolling anyway, so add some magic. All right, last and final debate. I am excited to dive into this one. And of all of the debates, this feels less either or to me. I'm going to let you all say your piece first, because I am moderating. I am moderating this one, and I'm excited to hear your cases. These are two things that most families I'm planning with, they need more information on. They have questions about this, they don't understand it, and they want to know, is it worth it? So we are talking Magic Bands versus the Memory Maker. Are they worth it? Which one's better? What are your thoughts? Becki, you start us off here. You are talking Magic Bands.
All right. So we'll start with Magic Bands being Magic Band Plus at this point. Magic Band has gone through several reinventions of itself. And I was very hesitant when Magic Band Plus came out because I saw that price tag and I was like, yowza. What about the days when Magic Bands used to be free with your Disney package? Like that was what I was expecting. However, with this jump to Magic Band Plus, have they increased the experience? Well, what does a Magic Band do? It allows you to scan for your photo pass, whether you're using Memory Maker or not, right? You can buy individual pictures, you can buy the Memory Maker, which Stacy's going to be talking about shortly. It can act as your ticket to the park. It can be your room key. It's putting it on your wrist and not having to think about pulling anything out of your pockets in order to accomplish these things. If you're staying on site, you can charge your meals, your souvenirs, your snacks to your charge account with your package. It allows you to scan in for your lightning lanes if you're doing multi-pass or single pass. It allows you, especially I think with your kiddos, the ability to glow with the show. When you're watching the happily ever after and your kids are being a little bit impatient, whatever, it's going to give them a tiny little vibration on their wrist and then it's going to light up. And everybody around you who has a Magic Band on is going to be glowing in the same way to meet the magic and the music of that show. So, adding a little bit leveled up experience in that way lets your kids feel like I'm a part of this greater thing that's happening around me. I also think that it's kind of a Disney flex. Like, if you're wearing a Magic Band, you're probably staying at a Disney resort. And all Disney vacations are magical vacations, but you know that it's extra special when you're staying on Disney property because you got to come to the park on a bus that looked like Daisy, or you got to hop on the monorail from your Polynesian resort stay and hop over to either Epcot or Magic Kingdom. Like, I feel it's a bit of a Disney flex to be staying on Disney property. There's a lot of things that we can do and say about why a Magic Band might be worth the investment. I think it personally is at this point, but I'm also going to give a shout out to Magic Mobile. The ability to use your cell phone is somewhat replacing this. However, I use Magic Mobile for tapping in for my lightning lanes. I use it for my park ticket, but I still choose every single time I go to the park to put on my Magic Band. It's a cute accessory. It has ties to so many different vacations that we've gone on. You can use them time and time again, including going over to Disneyland. If you have the Magic Band Plus, not the older ones, but the Magic Band Plus, you can use it in Disneyland and Disney World. And you can use it on some Disney cruise ships as well. There's probably a whole nother conversation to talk about that piece of it, but it's versatile and you can use it on future vacations as well.
Yeah, I love that. Those are all such great points. I am not going to speak to anything until I hear Stacy's side here about the Memory Maker. So, Stace, take it away.
All right. My argument for the memory maker, which I want to use this time to also explain a little bit of the difference. We kind of use the terms memory maker and photo pass interchangeably, but to describe that memory maker is going to be your plan, your kind of your package deal where you're paying ahead of time in your package to go ahead and have access to the photo pass. So PhotoPass means that you can go to a photographer inside of the Disney properties. They're all over. They're everywhere. We've listened to the My Disney Experience, how you can see on the map how many photographers there are everywhere. So that would be a PhotoPass photographer. And so this memory maker is saying ahead of time, I know I want to take advantage of these PhotoPass photographers and I'm going to go ahead and add it to my package. So my argument for the memory maker is yes, the price is very small when added to a package. You're not even going to notice it, right? It's going to blend in, but it's going to be one of those things where you see a photographer and you're like, yes, we need a family photo. And you want to have that freedom to do it. Now, you can go take a photo anytime you want with any of those photographers, whether you have Memory Maker or not. But you know what's going to happen when you don't have Memory Maker already in your package? you're going to see those photos and they're going to have a watermark on them. And that's so disappointing. And then if you are already on your vacation and you have not purchased Memory Maker, it is going to cost you more to get that watermark off than if you had prepaid. So the opportunity to remove that watermark is still there after you're on vacation, but you're going to pay more for it. And it's a stress that you do not want to add to having to spend more money. And you're going to love these photos, my friends. These are photos you're going to be so happy to have. We've already talked about it, particularly on that My Disney Experience app episode. PhotoPass photos are going to be so magical. You're going to have really fun touches. You're going to have a photo with everyone in it that's not a selfie. Now, I love a selfie, right? We love a good selfie in front of the castle, but to have the beauty of an actual professional photographer taking pictures of everyone in it with the nice magical touches, and not to mention, you're going to get your ride photos as well. So, I got to go with Memory Maker, right? We got to think wisely here. If we're going to spend just a little extra money for something that's going to give a lot of joy, in fact, we're talking like a lifetime of joy to be able to look back on these memories and these photos, you got to go with the Memory Maker.
This is so hard because I don't necessarily think that all these things are one or the other. I actually think both are important. And I think MagicBands seem expensive for what they are, if I'm being honest. And I think the Memory Maker seems inexpensive for what it is. And the ride photos, I've told the story about my son crying when he was finally tall enough for Everest at Animal Kingdom. Having that ride photo means a lot to my family. I remember the tears before he rode, and then having the ride photo. Anybody can hand their cell phone off to anybody and say, "Can you take a picture of my family at the castle?" But you can't add Yoda to that picture, and you can't get the picture of them on the ride. So Memory Maker means a lot to me for that reason, especially for first rides with my kids. But MagicBands are so fun and so convenient. My kids all pick a souvenir each trip, and my oldest daughter literally picked a MagicBand on our last trip. Like, they love looking at the different designs, and she picked one that said, "I'm hangry." It was like Bruce from Nemo. And it's funny because she does get hangry, and she just like thought it was so her. And she's going to take it on our cruise that we have coming up. If we go to Disneyland, she can take it there. She'll take it to all her Disney World trips. So, like, we keep all of our MagicBands together, and every trip it's so fun to pull them out and be like, which one are we taking? What are you feeling? It just feels so very Disney of us.
Mm-hmm.
I love having them. A lot of people don't even realize. Literally just yesterday, I had somebody I was working with text me and say, "Where do we go to pick up our tickets?" And I'm like, as long as your tickets are linked in your app, whatever you're using to scan, MagicBand, Magic Mobile, which you mentioned, Becki, you're good to go. Your MagicBand is like your universal access to everything. Which is so great. And I always get that depression when I get back to the Orlando airport and I can't buy my Starbucks with my MagicBand. I'm like, man, this stinks. I got to reach in and find my credit card. Like, this is terrible. And so I do really love it. I don't think I would go without it. I don't like Magic Mobile because I don't like to have to pull out my phone to do it. Like, just having my wrist and having that convenience, it means a lot to me.
Yeah, and I don't want to argue Becki's case for her because I would love to win something for once, but but I also just the convenience of just using that Magic Band and just a little tap versus opening an app, swiping around. Oh, give me the Magic Band every time. It's so much more convenient. I think it makes people behind you happier too when you're trying to scan into the park. It just can be such an inconvenience to have to go through the app. They'll give you key cards at your resort, which I actually would probably choose key cards over Magic Mobile. Disney probably doesn't want to hear that as being true, but to me, the Magic Mobile is a little bit of a hassle. So I just really love MagicBands. I think they're totally worth it, and they do last forever. I mean, we're still using old MagicBands that are still linked, and they're great. So
I guess for sake of this argument, unless Becki, you had something to add.
I do. I know there are people who are annoyed by this change to Magic Band Plus because it now has a charger, right? You have to charge your Magic Band. How many things do we have to plug into when we get back to our room? However, it is a USB charger. They have USB ports in your room, so it's not like you're having to have an extra outlet box or anything. And they do make it as simple as possible. But even if you forget your charger or you forget to charge it, it's still going to work for all of the old Magic Band purposes pre Magic Band Plus. You can still use the charging. You can still use it for your ticket, even if it's not charged for the light purpose. That charging is simply giving you that light and vibration, which is that extra plus added to the Magic Band. I think that that's an important thing to consider is the charging. Is it extra? Yeah, but it does it while you're sleeping. No big deal. Another thing I wanted to point out about this, because there are so many questions about Magic Bands, is you can pre-buy them, but do not buy them from somebody on eBay. You cannot transfer a Magic Band from one person to another person. Once it's been designated for a person, it is stuck to that person and you cannot use it. And in fact, it likely is going to have your fingerprint even attached to it, because when you're scanning into the park, you scan your finger to prove that you are the person that is using that ticket. Do not buy it from an unauthorized outlet. Definitely get it from the Disney's shopping website if you want to get it there. If you're staying on site, you get a discount if you buy it in connection to your package through the My Disney Experience app. And so just be really, really careful with not wanting to get scammed, because there are a lot of people who try to resell those kinds of
Yeah,
things.
that's a great point.
And you said charging in two different terms. So I want to make sure we clarify what you mean. At one point, you were talking about charging as in literally charging the battery part of the Magic Band. But you also mentioned when your Magic Band does not have a charge to it and the battery is not full, that you can still charge with it. Which you mean you can use your Magic Band to charge items back to your room and it will go to your room charge. It's going to take from your credit card that you have attached to your room. Or we have this question a lot. If people they want to do the convenience of the Magic Band swiping, but they also have gift cards that they have collected and want to use for their trip. Here's your little trick for doing that. You go to your resort desk at the end of your day and you can pay down what you have charged back to your room with your gift cards each night before you go to bed. And that'll just take it off of your room charge so that you are still able to use your gift card and your Magic Band.
Yeah, there was one more thing I also wanted to add about using your Magic Band. A lot of people are hesitant to buy them for their little kids, because they're just going to lose it. I want you to know that in the My Disney Experience app, you have the ability to control what's happening with your Magic Bands. You can turn off, can claim it as lost. You have control of what's happening there. You can also go to any Disney cast member like service center, the blue umbrellas, or the front of the parks. You can have them help you manage if you happen to lose your Magic Band. And we've even had the ability in the past. I don't want to promise anything, but Laker lost his Magic Band one time and they gave him a replacement Magic Band. So Disney wants to do right by you. They can track where those Magic Bands are. There's a lot of conveniences to it. You're not going to have to stress it. And if you want to talk about those charging privileges, meaning paying for things with your Magic Band, you can set up a PIN so that your kids can pay for things. If they're at the pool and you're not at the pool with them, they can buy themselves a drink if you've set up the charging privileges for them and not have to trust them carrying a credit card around.
I also want to take this opportunity to point back to our Amazon shop. If you have Magic Bands for yourself and your kids, you really should invest the pennies that it is to get these little bit bands that are so convenient. They just are these little tiny little attachments that you can add to your band to keep them from just popping off accidentally. So look in our Amazon shop for that.
All right. You both make good points. And like I said, I don't necessarily think this is an either or, but if I really had to pit them against each other, I am very much a Magic Band person. Like I said, we look at them as an expression of us and our Disney identity, and the convenience. However, Memory Maker is a flat fee. It is not charged per person. You are not buying Memory Maker times 5 for everybody in your package. And in a world where everything at Disney is very expensive or varies in price by the day, I'm looking at you, MultiPass, Memory Maker is a flat fee. And in my opinion, it's a pretty reasonable fee. And it lasts your entire trip and beyond. Like it actually has a longer expiration than even your trip. So if you were planning like 2 trips in a month, like it might still be valid. You get unlimited photos. You get locked in memories that are going to let your trip just continue living on. MagicBands, you have to buy one for every single person, and they do vary in price and they do die, or they do become outdated, just like an iPhone. There's constantly the new version that's coming. And so you never really feel ahead of the game there. And so if I'm looking at these against one another, I think I have to go with Memory Maker because it's just added magic on your trip. It's something I find like Disney is doing right by you with the value here in this product, whereas other things I'm just, I watch the price increase and I watch it vary by day. And I watch, if you want the dining plan, it's for everybody. If you want a 5-day ticket, it's for everybody. Memory Maker, you buy one, and it's a very unique thing for Disney.
I think that also something cool that we didn't mention is Memory Maker. If you're coming on a family reunion, only one family really needs to pay for that Memory Maker because that one person is going to be able to download and share those as long as you link yourselves as friends and family, which is a really cool benefit that kind of helps that investment get spread. I had a client who was 5 families going together. It was collectively a large group of people. They just connected all of the adults in the party to friends and family, and one person paid for it. They split the cost of it, which brought the cost of it dramatically down. And they all got to have those amazing pictures when they got home from their vacation.
Yeah, MagicBand, you have to buy one for everyone. You cannot share. Memory Maker is for everyone for what I consider low flat fee. And it's memories that live on forever. Part of my love for Disney is rooted like in my grandparents who had a home pretty close to Disney World growing up. I just have so many memories going with them. And I've talked about my connection to the Mickey bar being kind of related to my grandpa who has passed away. And I love my Disney memories with him. We have this picture that's still framed at my mom's house of us on Splash Mountain. And it might have been like my first ride, to be honest, ever on Splash Mountain. And it's all of us in the photo, including my grandpa. It's in a special Splash Mountain frame. But that memory is from 30 plus years ago. And that's kind of what I'm thinking. It's something that lives on forever and ever. As much as I love MagicBands because they are part of my Disney identity, like I said, I think if I'm looking at them against one another, I gotta go Memory Maker.
I love that. I also think that Stacy wins. I also think that it's cool that Memory Maker also can be everybody's magic, right? It doesn't matter if you're staying on site or off site. Memory Maker can affect every family's vacation, where truly I don't know that MagicBands are worth the splurge if you're not staying on Disney property.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Exactly that. All right. That was fun, you guys. So just a little recap here. I think we did right by these listeners because I think you're having these internal debates. And I think we made a good point that these aren't necessarily either or, and either one can be the right choice for your family. But you got to really listen to the arguments for each side to determine where you fall in the debate. Today, we looked at an extra park day versus a park hopper add on to your package. We ultimately decided the park hopper makes the most sense, but again, that is very relative to your family, the type of trip you're planning, who's there, where are you staying, what is the budget, obviously. Think about all those things when you're deciding. We looked at resort upgrade versus the dining plan. We ultimately decided that the resort upgrade was probably in your best interest because you are gaining more out of it. But of course, if you are all about strategy and savings, it's important you listen to that argument for the dining plan as well, because both can be really, really huge factors in the enjoyment of your overall vacation. And lastly, of course, we looked at MagicBands versus the Memory Maker, ultimately deciding that Memory Maker lasts longer and adds just a little bit more magic to your vacation, if not convenience that you get from the MagicBands. The magic lives throughout those pictures forever. So that was great. I really think that we're going to help some people make some hard decisions, or maybe, some people will decide that both things in this argument are for them because both the arguments were so great on every side. That is going to do it for us on this episode of the Smart Moms Plan Disney podcast, where we debate and we look at both sides of every single part of your Disney planning and help you determine what makes the most sense for your family. We have fun. We share these tips. We hope that you'll join us every Tuesday. Turn on those automatic downloads so that you don't miss an episode. And until next time, we'll see you real soon.